everything in me. And what women don't know what's going on right now.
I just wanted it. Like, I wanted that shape. That's the shape that I wanted. And I wanted to look like that.
There's no avoiding it. Wow. It's nothing you can do to avoid it. And they not telling girls still get it.
I think the older you get tired of having to hop into your jeans.
If you got those shots 4 or 5 years ago, you're gonna be sick.
Imagine arena spotlights bouncing off a flawless hourglass figure while a powerhouse voice shakes the rafters. Now imagine that same star flat on a hotel mattress, eyes clenched, as a stranger with a needle promises instant curves for cash. That scene isn't a rumor, it's the unfiltered core of K. Michelle's latest news, and tonight she's ripping the cover clean off it. 13 surgeries, 2 blood transfusions, and a medical bill bigger than a luxury home loan. Every receipt is coming out. You'll see the scars she refuses to Photoshop, hear the dollar amounts record labels pretend don't exist, and watch her jar of harvested silicone hit the table like evidence in court. By the final reveal, you'll know exactly how close she came to paralysis, why a single rogue bead almost shut down her lungs, and how she flipped the nightmare into a nationwide wake-up call. Do you want the play-by-play of a shortcut that nearly killed a chart topper, or would you rather scroll past and risk your best friend repeating it? Stick around, drop your thoughts in the chat, and let's crack open the truth that filters can't hide. K.Michelle was never a stranger to hustle. Long before K.Michelle's latest news dominated timelines, she was lugging battered speakers into Memphis dive bars, belting heartbreak ballads for anyone who would tip the bartender. A scholarship at Florida A&M sharpened her ear for melody, but the industry wanted more than pitch. It wanted spectacle, and she knew it. Her big break arrived on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the reality show that rewards drama the way game shows reward correct answers. Viewers met a fearless vocalist who flipped tables, dragged rivals, and parlayed screen time into a record deal that pushed her debut album onto Billboard. Yet inside label offices another metric whispered louder than chart positions: body image. The unspoken equation was simple: bigger curves equal bigger bookings. Friends insisted she was already shapely, but constant side-by-side comparisons with surgically enhanced peers planted a seed of doubt. Instagram's rise only watered that seed. Every scroll brought photoshopped hourglasses captioned with natural hashtags, and the pressure wrapped around her confidence like barbed wire. By 2012, while juggling tour rehearsals and radio promo, she organized a hush-hush appointment in an Atlanta hotel suite known among dancers and bartenders as the place to get snatched on a budget. The injector boasted miracle transformations for half the cost of a certified surgeon and zero paperwork. He brandished glossy before and after photos on an iPad, claimed he used medical-grade hydrogel, and pocketed cash up front. She laid face down, felt the cold sting, and walked out with a backside that made club promoters add a zero to her appearance fee overnight. The likes on her next selfie doubled. The gamble looked genius. But the body keeps receipts. Over the next 2 years, the singer returned for top-ups, chasing symmetry that lives only in filtered images. Each shot shoved more untraceable silicone into muscle fibers never meant to store foreign goo. Meanwhile, her career surged, sold-out shows, magazine covers, collaborations with legends who praised her pipes. From the outside, she was winning. Inside, silent alarm bells started to ring. Headaches sparked during photo shoots. Leg cramps hijacked sound check. She brushed them off as tour fatigue, swallowed painkillers, and powered through because canceled dates cost real money. Then, one quiet morning in 2014, her knees buckled while reaching for a coffee mug. She collapsed, vision blurred, and a frantic 911 call whisked her to the ER. Scans lit up with dark clouds, rogue silicone clumping near lymph nodes and creeping toward organs. The diagnosis was blunt: remove the material or risk organ failure. Insurance refused coverage because the injections were off-book. The first extraction surgery sliced away 2 pounds of hardened beads, crashed her blood pressure, and required a transfusion just to stabilize her. In that fluorescent recovery room, she faced a new reality. Fame had pushed her onto an operating table that almost became a coffin. That brutal awakening ignited the mission now pulsing through K.Michelle's scandal update, but the backstory matters because it shows how a chart dream became a medical nightmare in a single hotel room. Doctors mapped every stray bead like a cartographer sketches reefs that threaten unsuspecting ships. The plan looked brutal but precise: staggered removals months apart to scoop out silicone without shredding vital nerves. She signed consent forms that read like horror scripts and scheduled studio sessions around incision dates. Between operations, she recorded vocals from a rented hospital bed, holding a pillow against stitches so a high note wouldn't pop them open. Those tracks became the spine of her cross-platinum album, a record dripping with the ache of someone literally singing through pain. Yet each surgery revealed fresh landmines. Silicone doesn't stay put. It migrates, hardens, and slices microcapillaries. Round 2 removed cluster marbles from her thighs, leaving dents deep enough to cup in a palm. Round 3 chased particles, hugging her sciatic nerve, a maneuver surgeons compared to defusing a bomb while blindfolded. The tiniest slip meant permanent paralysis. She woke to find feeling in her toes and wept, grateful mere movement still belonged to her. Back on social media, fans noticed weight loss and asked for diet tips. She answered with silence because explaining the truth in a comment thread felt impossible. Meanwhile, bills piled higher than VIP seating. The tab passed $300,000 before the fourth extraction, and promoters grew skittish, replacing her on lineups to avoid refund chaos. She sold 2 investment condos and a vintage baby grand piano to keep or doors open. Friends floated the idea of crowdfunding. Pride shut that down instantly. "I paid cash to get in this mess. I'll pay cash to get out," she said, treating the debt like tuition for a crash course in self-worth. The turning point hit during Surgery 6, when doctors discovered silicone beads had nested around her lung tissue. One sneeze away from respiratory arrest, that's how close the countdown had crept. They suctioned the invaders with a cannula thinner than headphone wire, and the gallery fell silent when her oxygen levels finally stabilized. Back in recovery, she made a promise: no more hiding. Within weeks, cameras rolled on a raw confession special that showed stitches, drains, and the infamous jar of removed silicone. She demanded bright lights, no airbrushing, no strategic roses covering scars. The episode aired during Sweeps Week and exploded online. Clips racked millions of views in hours, not days. Comments flooded in from viewers, terrified they'd booked the same underground injector. Surgeons reported a spike in consultation calls the very next morning, proof that honesty travels faster than glossy denial. That broadcast planted the seed for My Killer Body, a reality series where the singer mentors strangers unlucky enough to repeat her mistake. She negotiated full creative control, shot pilot footage, and shopped it to networks still chasing ratings gold. Executives bid instantly. They smelled viral potential thicker than hospital antiseptic. The show paired patients with board-certified plastic surgeons, filmed every incision, and wrapped each episode with a ticker of verified medical board links. By season 2, the format had saved 3 viewers who canceled underground appointments after watching a single episode. Producers tracked the data. She called those saves the real trophies. While cameras documented other bodies, her own saga continued. Surgery 8 clipped scar tissue, strangling a hamstring, and occupational therapy followed with resistance bands and tears. She logged progress on a whiteboard. Stand for 10 minutes, walk a block, climb stage stairs without grabbing the railing. Every achievement became a social post, not as bragging rights, but as proof recovery isn't linear. Fans shared the posts with hashtags #healing is headlining and #no cheap shots, pushing her advocacy into algorithm paradise. Then came the legal cleanup. Her team trademarked K.Michelle's latest news and K.Michelle's scandal update to block clickbait channels from twisting her story. They watermarked every surgical image and registered them with the Library of Congress. Hospital boards signed teaching releases so residents could study the case without exposing her personal data. Those papers now sit in plastic surgery lecture halls from Los Angeles to Lagos. At home, spreadsheets replaced set lists. She tracked hydration, inflammation markers, and MRI results with the same precision once applied to cord charts. A custom phone app pinged hourly reminders, foot pumps, electrolytes, compression garment check. Instead of champagne on her rider, she asked for arnica gel and pineapple slices to fight swelling. Backstage techs taped heating pads to road cases, and dancers learned a backup choreography that accommodated her limited jumps. Some nights, she still powered through a set while drains tucked beneath tights, humming louder than the silent hiss of medical tape. One video of her hitting a high note while seated on a stool drew millions of views and triggered articles praising raw authenticity. Authenticity was just doctors' orders. As momentum returned, a new problem surfaced: insurance audits. Standard policies classified her ongoing removals as elective revisions, denying every claim. Accountants presented binders of operative notes. Underwriters shrugged. She bridged the gap with a high-interest loan secured against future royalties. The irony was thick. She mortgaged melodies to erase matter she'd bought in cash. 18 months later, tour proceeds cleared the debt, and she framed the final zero balance statement like a platinum plaque. The medical timeline reached its climax during Surgery 13. Scans finally showed no harvestable beads larger than a grain of rice. Lab work normalized. Doctors issued conditional clearance to dance, run, and, even more shocking, sit for an entire interview without paying. She walked out of the hospital wearing flat sneakers emblazoned with the word proof. To celebrate, she inked a new label deal that let her own her masters outright. She justified the hardline stance in plain math. I almost lost my life to somebody else's vision. Why would I ever lose my music the same way? The contract guaranteed a marketing budget tied to education. Every single release included a QR code linking to verified medical resources on silicone removal. Critics called it heavy-handed. She called it responsible. The hits landed anyway. A breakout single titled Alchemy sampled clinking surgical instruments over a trap beat. Listeners streamed it for the novelty and stayed for the message embedded in the bridge: real gold doesn't need a fake mold. Meanwhile, the My Killer Body Foundation launched, offering grants to victims who needed removal surgery but lacked deposits. The first funding round covered 3 patients. Their before and after footage aired at her album release party, turning industry execs into teary-eyed donors by dessert. Journalists asked if the singer worried about being pigeonholed as the silicone cautionary tale girl. She laughed and replied that saving lives beats selling fantasies. Her social analytics agreed. Videos tagged K.Michelle's latest news and K.Michelle's scandal update consistently outperformed club single promos, proving the audience craved substance wrapped in transparency. The more she spoke, the more the black market felt the heat. Undercover reports reveal the Atlanta injector had vanished, likely tipped off by the spike in police interest that followed the confessional special. Authorities credited her series for pushing the case file to the top of the stack. She shrugged, saying justice wasn't revenge, it was prevention. Yet trauma isn't obedient. Random flare-ups still ambushed her set list. During a 2022 arena date, swelling ballooned behind her left knee mid-ballad. The band vamped while a stagehand slid an ice pack under her thigh, unseen by the crowd thanks to crafty lighting. She finished the chorus, dropped a joke about growing new hips on tour, and thanked the audience for selling out the venue. The clip went viral, praised as comedic resilience. Backstage, she tracked the incident in her app, flagged it red, and forwarded data to her surgeon. Adaptation has become second nature. She traveled with portable ultrasound, learned to read scans, and could spot pooling fluid before it screamed in pain. That vigilance kept her off the calendar for the longest stretch since the nightmare began. By 2024, she clocked a full year surgery-free. Her first anniversary post featured a side-by-side shot, hotel room curves versus healed silhouette under gym lighting. The caption, "One was bought, one was earned. Guess which one lasts?" Within minutes, the comment section erupted with stories from followers canceling cheap procedures. Algorithms pushed the post onto explore pages worldwide. Newspapers picked it up, morning shows called. Each interview folded in the phrase K.Michelle's scandal update, reinforcing the brand as the go-to hub for verified information. Industry peers took note. Rappers invited her to guest verses about body autonomy. Movie producers floated biopic offers. She declined the film rights but optioned a docuseries, insisting on final cut and medical fact-checking. The network greenlit production with a 7-figure budget. Filming started inside a teaching hospital where med students gathered around jars labeled tuition, the very beads suctioned from her body. Cameras captured their stunned faces as a professor explained silicone embolism. In a quiet moment, a student whispered, "I saw this on TikTok, but never believed it." Moments like that, she said, paid the whole bill twice over. Back on tour buses, she penned lyrics about scarred skin that still feels like home. Guitar riffs wove between metaphors of healing tissue and mastered tracks. When pressed about future cosmetic tweaks, she answered, "Gym, water, patience, those are the only surgeons I consult now." The line trended, turned into merch, and sold out at shows. Proceeds fed the foundation's second grant cycle. She joked that the fastest way to raise money for surgery reversals was to sell comfy hoodies with no waist shapewear required. Even her nutrition plan went public. A registered dietitian joined live streams, debunking detox teas and pushing real food. Followers screenshot grocery lists and tag her in meal prep videos, creating a mini ecosystem of accountability. The once private singer had morphed into a living case study, and the audience couldn't get enough. Scroll deep enough and you'll find the database she published, a geotag map of board-certified plastic surgeons, each verified for proper licensing. She funds the hosting fees herself, calls it Yelp for your body. Every month, she updates the site and pings the changelog with a label K, Michelle's latest news, so search engines crawl it fast. SEO gurus told her the repetition might feel heavy. She answered that safety can't be subtle. In 2025, medical journals released a follow-up study citing her case as a catalyst for a 12% decline in underground silicone injections across 5 major cities. That statistic felt bigger than any Grammy nomination. She printed the graph on poster board, propped it backstage, and nodded at it before each show. Legacy, she noted, is measured in lives, not downloads. Authenticity was just doctor's orders. As momentum returned, a new problem surfaced: insurance audits. Standard policies classified her ongoing removals as elective revisions, denying every claim. Accountants presented binders of operative notes. Underwriters shrugged. She bridged the gap with a high-interest loan secured against future royalties. The irony was thick. She mortgaged melodies to erase matter she'd bought in cash. 18 months later, tour proceeds cleared the debt, and she framed the final zero balance statement like a platinum plaque. The medical timeline reached its climax during surgery 13. Scans finally showed no harvestable beads larger than a grain of rice. Lab work normalized. Doctors issued conditional clearance to dance, run, and, even more shocking, sit for an entire interview without pain. She walked out of the hospital wearing flat sneakers emblazoned with the word proof. To celebrate, she inked a new label deal that let her own her masters outright. She justified the hardline stance in plain math. "I almost lost my life to somebody else's vision. Why would I ever lose my music the same way?" The contract guaranteed a marketing budget tied to education. Every single release included a QR code linking to verified medical resources on silicone removal. Critics called it heavy-handed. She called it responsible. The hits landed anyway. A breakout single titled Alchemy sampled clinking surgical instruments over a trap beat. Listeners streamed it for the novelty and stayed for message embedded in the bridge: "Real gold doesn't need a fake mold." Meanwhile, the My Killer Body Foundation launched, offering grants to victims who needed removal surgery but lacked deposits. The first funding round covered 3 patients. Their before and after footage aired at her album release party, turning industry execs into teary-eyed donors by dessert. Journalists asked if a singer worried about being pigeonholed as the silicone cautionary tale girl. She laughed and replied that saving lives beats selling fantasies. Her social analytics agreed. Videos tag K.Michelle's latest news, and K.Michelle's scandal update consistently outperformed club single promos, proving the audience craved substance wrapped in transparency. The more she spoke, the more the black market felt the heat. Undercover reports revealed the Atlanta injector had vanished, likely tipped off by the spike in police interest that followed the confessional special. Authorities credited her series for pushing the case file to the top of the stack. She shrugged, saying justice wasn't revenge, it was prevention. Yet trauma isn't obedient. Random flare-ups still ambushed her set list.